So, hello there, geeks. Welcome to Geeks Plus, where we're more than just your average geek, and the official kickoff, because we have not obviously been talking for like 10 minutes. Thank God we were in the introduction, and most of that was the countdown timer.
I know what we're doing.
All right, I'll just kick off where we were again. Thank you for joining us again for a very special indie comic book club where we are joined by Space Hawk from over at our Geeks Plus tabletop channel.
Glurp glurp.
Joining us.
Say it again, so.
You have to say glurp glurp again.
Glurp glurp.
So, Space Hawk, just to summarize what had been said, because we were talking away there, and instead of having to reply to everything, basically Space Hawk was the one that brought up doing Dungeon Crawler Carol for Indie Comic Book Club and wanted to be part of it. This is obviously based on the phenomenal Dungeon Crawler Carol book series that is out there. An amazing creative team put together a webcomic on Webtoons for it that was then produced into an actual published release from Vault Comics. Vault Comics, who are already got a connection with Matt Dinniman, the writer of Dungeon Crawler Carol. They're the ones that are putting out the Dungeon Crawler Carol Crocodile comic book that was on Backer a few months ago.
Which is that right there.
Yep, that right there, which I actually got an email about recently that they're locking it in, so they're finally closing it out to actually send the things. That was meant to come to a close freaking November or something like that last year.
Let's go ahead and say this. When it's out and about, we're probably going to do another one of these.
Yeah, pretty much. I know I'm definitely getting one because I ordered it on the back of it thing. It's just nice that it's finally actually going to get delivered. Do you know how big of a pain in the ass it's been waiting for that to close because they weren't going to send them out until it was done? And I'm like, thank God they're finally sending them out. But congratulations to them. They raised like something like 3 million or something like for it. Like some insane amount of money for it. Like it's no wonder they kept it open. People were desperate for it. But this one is insane because Vault's also putting this out as a published work, but it's also, you can go and watch and check out the first 52 episodes for free on Webtoons still. But they went and they re-edited it to fit it into a actual comic book format. I think this first volume contains the first 14 episodes or something from Webtoons. And Webtoons obviously is just a straight scroll down of the comic, and they re-edited it so that it would fit into a comic book. So it was an opportunity to talk about this. Why specifically did Space Hawk want to talk about this book? Because finally, the rest of them started picking up this. I have been going through Dungeon Crawler Carol for like the last year plus. This is the book series that got me through all the hard times I've been going through in 2025 and 2026. All the issues with the family, with my marriage ending, all that stuff. Carl and Donut are the ones that have helped get me through. I have obsessed over this series and how good it is for a year and a half. But nothing compares to how fast fucking Space Hawk went through this series.
I feel like I lit the spark because that, and then Space Hawk was just bam. I'm reading this whole book in one day.
Yeah, because LG was the next one to pick it up. Actually, no, sorry. Nitro was already reading through it bit by bit. He was taking his time through it. Then LG picks up the book. And he starts going through book one, slowly but surely.
It took me a week to read 5 chapters.
Taking his time going through it. Space Hawk, I don't know if it was just something clicked in his head or if it was just sheer FOMO and fear of missing out.
FOMO.
But he picked up the book and is now finished book. You're on book 6?
I have 200 pages left of book 6.
He's almost finished book 6. For context, there is 8 books out right now, and book 8 just dropped like a month ago, and I just finished book 8. Space Hawk started it after LJ, surpassed him within a day.
Yeah.
Nitro was on book fucking 4.
Yeah.
And he flew past him as well, and is now like almost, is like 2 books away from being caught up with the series, and he started reading it like a month and a half ago. If that.
Nitro actually texted me today. He said, I just finished book 4, and I was like, well, I'm on book 6.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Exactly. So Space Hulk has been a little obsessed.
I mean,
so much so that I got a T-shirt. I'm probably gonna get another one this weekend.
we're talking to the guy that came up with his own TTRPG system in one night. So
this is true.
I'm planning on buying whenever the role-playing game releases. I'm planning on picking that up. There's also a card game coming out. Let's face it, I'm gonna pick that up. I also got, and I'll share this with the rest of the class.
Oh dear.
So much so, I had to travel out and find this at my local Books A Million.
yeah.
I picked up Maeve Chocolate did a Virgin Dirty Shirley, which is Donut's favorite alcoholic beverage. And I told my wife, I said, we need to go pick this up. I have to go find this and try it. And I kept the wrapper because why not?
You're obsessed.
So, I'm obsessed. This is on my Dungeon Crawler Carl's shelf, along with some other things that I've printed out, 3D printed and painted it. So.
Hey to everyone coming in chat. Hey to Lake House Monster, to Nikki, Amy, hi, how you doing? And to Not So Silent Bob, welcome in. What are your thoughts on the TV show? I'm excited at the prospect of the TV show. I'm also slightly nervous because it's Peacock doing it. It's either going to be phenomenal or it's going to crash and burn, and I don't feel like there's going to be an in-between. I feel like it's going to be phenomenal or awful.
Me and Cross have texted about this quite a bit, and we were talking and we're like, well, it's Seth MacFarlane, and Seth MacFarlane is known for comedy, and Fuzzy Door Productions does the Orville, which is his production company, and they're going through his production company, and so we're like it would be I feel like it's gonna go very well as long as the casting is on point. And we even said, what if he is the voice? Because let's face it, if Seth MacFarlane's gonna touch it, he's gonna be in it, and we're like, he needs to be the voice of the AI.
I feel like that's a good spot for him, yeah. I feel like that'd be a really good role for him to do the AI as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that as well. Not So Silent Bobby saying he's worried that they're going to pull punches and make it TV friendly. And I'm like, I get that. I think I would be less worried about that if it was something like Prime that was making it.
Yeah.
I'd be less worried about them pulling punches and stuff. With it being Peacock, it's like, maybe because like the book gets insane, it gets gory and it gets completely adult content. It's like, so
can I throw a counterpoint at that though?
Yeah, absolutely.
One, two.
Twisted Metal.
Yep, that was my counterpoint too. Twisted Metal.
Fair point. Actually, I didn't even think about that. They did Twisted Metal.
Yeah,
so they did.
yeah.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing though, like Twisted Metal. Like, that's one thing though. I'm like, please go that way with it and don't go like because with Dungeon Crawler Carl, you have to go all out. If they don't go all out, it's going to hold back. Especially like, I mean, come on, like you read about the 6th floor or the Space Hog. You're about to come up on the 9th floor in your books already. Like the book gets more gory, more graphic, more war stuff and battles as it goes. And
very the adult content really
the adult content okay. The adult content, if I can say it, they have to do stuff that gets to a certain point because one of the floors there becomes a point where like the gods start to come into play a lot more for the dungeon, which they've already mentioned early on in the book, and so they start to become a big factor. One of them ends up having one of the gods is basically separate from his appendage, and it ends up being involved in something. I don't want to go into details of it because I don't want to give away any part of the story, but it's basically a giant dick that's going about the floor.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
It's like if you want to talk adult content, it gets fully into it with the cursing constantly, the gore, and even with stuff like that. I'm like,
that's crazy.
It's like it goes insane, and it's like, so it's like if they're going to do it, they have to go like all out. They have to.
I'm gonna be cryptic about this because this is like 4, and then we need to talk about this. But
yeah, we need to actually talk about the comic
because we're gonna get off on a tangent. But I read the other day in book 6 where he was affected by that debuff with the slugs, and he rips it off. He's like, he just ripped his dick off.
Yeah.
That's just lost it, dude. I lost it so hard. I was like, this is hilarious. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, there's some phenomenal stuff coming up. There's like, it has to be adult content. I'm like, I want to get into this a lot more, but obviously we're here to talk about the comic version of this specifically.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: if you guys are interested, this is a good plug.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested in hearing us talk about the books individually, me and Cross are planning on sitting down and doing a Patreon exclusive. We're going to be doing a Patreon exclusive going from book to book to book to book. We're going to start that relatively soon.
Yeah,
so
like
if you want to hear that, it's $2 a month. Check it out. We're going to be having conversations about it, talking about like, we'll probably spend like, we're going to have to put like a timer on or something.
Oh yeah, like we can rant forever on it. So it's like, so yeah, if you want to check out our Patreon, that's definitely some exclusives that's coming there. We're obsessed with this. Like, I have been praising this series for forever. Like, for the last year, I have been talking about how good this series is, and it feels amazing to see like the rest of the guys getting into this series and going, you know what, actually this is amazing. And actually really want to get into it. So I'm like, it's blown me away, just the community that's gotten around us, how much it's connected. And that's the thing as well that I've realized is like, the books themselves, are they perfect? No, but the characters in this, you end up just falling in love with all the characters.
Yeah.
As it goes, you just fall in love. Like, from the get-go with Carol and Donut to all the side characters who become main cast as you go, like, it's phenomenal. But we wanted to talk about this because having the graphic novel out there is an interesting thing when it's for something that wasn't really started as an official thing. It wasn't started as like an official tie-in. It wasn't like, hey, Matt Dinniman wants to release this. It was something that someone did as a passion project, and to see the encouragement of the creator, basically going, yeah, you can do this, and like
to get the blessing,
getting the blessing, and he gives the go ahead of it. To like, he looks over it and goes, yeah, that works. You know what I mean? And the script is still his. It's still based on his original script and stuff.
It's also really interesting. Like, and I told Cross this when I first picked it up. Like, I've read the books. I've actually listened to I'm also kind of listening to the audiobooks, like not specifically at the same time because I'm obsessed with like, I've never been really big into reading a whole lot. I'm ADHD. I struggle with like focusing, and so like books have always been kind of a turnoff for me. But I've been getting back into reading because I used to read all the time, and between reading and listening to the audiobook, now I have a freaking visual because for some reason I needed a visual. And so this medium is great because now I'm like, oh, this is who this looks like. This is what this looks like.
I do laugh at Space Hulk needing a visual for what a dungeon looks like when he's a Dungeons and Dragons player.
And has I can't help it, man. My brain doesn't work that way. I needed it. They're like,
I needed a visual of what the dungeon looked like, and I'm like, the dungeon, really?
To be fair, when he starts listing off like the area and what it looks like, I start getting bored because I'm ADHD and I start skipping a little bit.
See, that's what you mean. It's not a case of like that I couldn't visualize it. It's like, no, my brain went for an adventure, like it does quite frequently. And But you guys have got the books right in front of you as well. I want to give a shout out to the creators. I can't see it in front of me. I'm trying to look it up on my phone. Like the artists behind it and stuff, if they're listed. I'm assuming it's probably listed in the book because on Amazon and stuff, it just lists the writer as Matt Dinniman, which technically yes, but I was wanting to shout out the creators of it.
Yeah.
They have editors.
Yeah, the editors probably people that put it together as well.
Al Shannon, is that the?
There's lead art. Yes, there's like a bunch of people worked on this.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people on this. But Matt Dinniman, Lauren Pursuit, Tevagah, and Retton, I guess names at the bottom. I'm assuming they all have something to do with it. So we'll go with
I
that.
feel like these are teams. So Laurel Pursuit, I feel like is a team because That's like a team of artists, and I feel like they're all user names or screen names because one is Kuzamari, I think. The font is weird on this, the way they made this font, by the way.
I'll get the guys to send me a picture or a screenshot of the teams that are involved there, and I'll list it down below the video on YouTube so y'all can check it out.
There we go. I don't know if that helps anybody, but it's it's a whole
Yeah, that's we'll go ahead and get those listed put down below because I'll always love to shout out the creators that are involved in it and stuff. So
yeah, because usually when we cover normal, like most like regular comics, it's usually artist, writer, maybe a letterer, and like a colorist. Probably there's maybe like 4 people.
Yeah, you got like 4 people involved in a comic usually.
But this is a whole team. Yeah, so it's a production.
Which is kind of crazy if there's a team of people that put this together, because the issue that you get when you do a comic book with a bunch of people working on it, especially with working on art, is the consistency of the art. And it's a consistency definitely continues to stay throughout this book. So we'll definitely give a shout out to them down below. I'll get their names listed and stuff like that. But to properly...
Can I go ahead and say...
Yeah, go ahead.
Going off the art, I don't know if you're gonna mention this or not. But like it's very like I'm not like a big like anime. You guys know this. Anime manga is not my thing.
Yeah, it's very like manga. It's very manga-esque art. The whole, even the style of how they do stuff, it's very manga-esque. So it's like it's done very.
I do see influences from other things too. I don't want to get us too ahead of everything, but I definitely see influences in here.
It has that kind of feel to it though, and it's like, but it's not it's definitely not a negative to it. It's like, because I'm not much of a manga reader either. I watch some anime and I'm not a manga reader, but it's definitely not a negative to it. The artwork's actually very nice.
Yeah.
But to delve into the details now, we're going to delve into the actual comic itself, because we could just rant Dungeon Crawler Carl for forever. Like, we could get into that, and we would make LG very sad because we would give him spoilers for every book to come.
Yeah, y'all got your own podcast for that. Like,
yeah, like we'll get into those spoilers when we do the stuff for the Patreon. So for the comic, and this is a little bit on the first book as well. So a lot of the stuff we're talking about is also going to involve the first book, at least up to the point it finishes in the comic, because the story is basically one and the same. Off the bat, one of the things I usually ask, what were your first thoughts of it? Your first thoughts of Dungeon Crawler Carl, first thoughts of the Dungeon Crawler Carl comic. Whether those are different, the one and the same. What were your thoughts?
Go first, Olga.
Okay, yeah. So I will say the difficult part, like I love this comic. The difficult part was to keep the desire and the motivation going to read through it, because the hard part for this is like I already know what like we already know what happens, kind of a thing. So I guess that's the thing, is like that's why like I guess I don't rewatch like a lot of TV shows or anything like that. Like something more short and things like that, like movies I can rewatch. But like the motivation to keep reading through this was a bit tough. But what I liked about this is like you all were saying, it does give you the visual for it. I personally didn't necessarily need that, just because I have how it looks in my own head, or like how it sounds. Like that's why I didn't want to listen to the audiobook for a long time either, because I was like, I want to keep my imagination in its own thing, like. But I like the way that it kind of makes things a little more concise, obviously, because the book spends a lot of time on like the achievements and things, which I'm sure gets less and less as you go, because it's like whatever. But there are ways they find to cut. Obviously, they don't cut a ton of corners, because it's literally like this is only a small chunk of the first book, which is wild. But I like the interpretation and the way they did kind of shorten things a little bit. And it's the thing that's kept me reading is to see how they do that creatively. And again, to get some of the visuals. Like, y'all were talking about, like, the art and how it's very anime influenced. The windows and the little pop-ups, even when I was reading, I pictured them like the anime Solo Leveling. Which Solo Leveling, it's this dude who's got this, somehow unlocked this game style like UI thing that he's had, and he basically just, like, it's called Solo Leveling. He gets super strong because he's doing all this gamified stuff. So like that's really, to me, that's really neat. Like I can go with this book, I can go to somebody who's watched Solo Leveling or who is an anime fan and be like, hey, you should check this out. And if you like this, there's a whole dang series. Like, like so I like how it, like, I feel like it bridges the gap in a lot of ways. Like as far as like the medium it's in. Um so yeah, those are my initial thoughts. Like I really, and I liked going, like I said, the interpretation and the way they visualize things, like the way the artist got to visualize stuff is really cool. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
Perfect. Yeah.
For me, I literally read the first book, heard that this came out, and immediately said, I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna go get it right now. And she said, can you wait until 5 o'clock and we'll all go take a ride? And I said, hell no, I'm going right now. What do you need from the store? So I went, I went go and I picked it up, and because I was like, I want to read this, and like you said, it's one of those things where like you read the book, and I was like just came off of reading the book, like so for me it was like stupid fresh, like I literally read it the day before, and so going through the for me I'm like, okay, well I'm rereading this, but I'm really focusing on like the artwork and the like what's happening in each of the scenes, like kind of almost like to where I'm studying it. Just that way, like when I read the like other books, I kind of have a visual in my mind of uh what's going on. So for example, is the scene where they're fighting the first boss. And when they have like the announcement, I'm actually pulling it up right now. They have like the battle, and they have like their pictures pop up. I was like, okay, so every time that happens, I get to kind of imagine the where they're like the versus thing, or for instance, when they're talking about how they're how like the rewards, the boxes come up and how their interface works, and to actually get to see that, I'm like, okay, now I can visualize that happening. So for me, it was a lot more like visual, like, okay, so this is what the dungeon looks like. This is what this scenario looks like. Which, if they ever take this, I don't know. I'm hoping they do the whole series, but
Same.
it might take a very long time considering the fact that this is like a quarter of the book.
Yeah.
So
That's what's
like
wild to me.
I can't wait to see what is it, the book 3, the book in my head that was the most confusing level design. I cannot wait to visually see that.
Yeah.
I think for me that is like a big deal. But yeah, like I said, it's mostly visual for me, not so much. I didn't really pay attention to the story. It was more like, okay, this is what the frickin' the goblins tractor
Chopper.
looked like. Yeah,
Oh yeah, the
so I was like,
dozer
okay,
thing at the
sweet.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. Now I know. Now I have an idea. This is what, Mordecai looked like. Like, so yeah, no, I really love it. I'm obsessed with the series, and I can't wait to do more. I think the second book is coming out. When is it October?
Yeah, it's later
I think
this
it's
year at some
October.
point. It's the next few months. It's meant to be
I mean,
coming
think
out,
about
volume
this.
2.
You don't necessarily have to wait for these. I mean, they are on Webtoon. I mean, this is nice for physical media collectors, obviously. But like, yeah, you can go to Webtoon and read it that way too.
Yeah, it's up there up to episode 52. I don't
Let
know
your
where that is in the book.
let the hyperfixation fuel you.
Yeah,
Just
I don't know
do
where
it.
that gets up to in the book. All I know is that I had a quick glance at 52 just because I was curious to see where it was at, and I know they were on a deck show. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was their first appearance or if it was a later appearance because they go on it a few times.
Right.
I just know Odette was on it, which was, boy, having to visualize reading that in the book, seeing that actually on a comic panel is freaky as. But yeah, like Dungeon Crawler Carl was, when I first got into this book, I had no idea what I was getting into. When I first started it last year, I literally started reading it after my wife and I split up. I started going on dates with a few people, and I literally started reading it because a woman I was starting to chat with had mentioned it and how good it was. And I had a bunch of credits I apparently saved up on Audible that I had never used, and I don't even know how I got them, but they were there. And I went,
Nice.
screw it, I'll pick up the first one and check it out on Audible. I don't do good with reading, so I'll do the audiobook. And started listening to it, and long after I was talking with her, I was still listening to the book. I got into it, and slowly but surely got into it, and it's like, okay, this is actually getting really good. This is actually getting interesting, and the way it opens up the world to you for this, it's so weird because it eases you in, but it also throws you in at the same time. Like the book literally starts with the end of the world. Like, boom, stuff crashes down on Earth, everyone's dead except for people who are outside of buildings, and staircases appear. Go in the dungeon.
Quite
or
literally,
don't.
The first page is him, and then there's like the buildings, and then it's just like page 2.
Yeah. It's like flash. Gone, everyone, and then it's the choice to go downstairs into the dungeon or not. So they don't even know what they're walking into, and it ticked all the boxes of stuff that I love. Like it was a dungeon crawl. We're Dungeons and Dragons players, so going into a dungeon, the first thing he faces are goblins. There's a tutorial guild where they meet their their game guide who's going to walk them through it and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is very D&D, and then it's like, oh well, there's achievement boxes to unlock, and there's interfaces, and it's like, this is straight out of a video game. This is straight out of it. Boosting, you got your stats, and you have to boost your stats up, and the higher up a level you get, the higher the stats go, and then you get magic items that help boost those stats and boost all these different things. Like, it was so video game and so Dungeons and Dragons, and it was right up my alley. And then also as well, I immediately connected with Carl. Carl's the sort of protagonist I love. He's the sort of protagonist I'm like, if I was going to be in a series, I would love to think that's the sort of protagonist I would be.
Yeah.
To get in there, so I immediately connected with him. It's like, not necessarily has the best idea what's going on, but more like lucky and batshit crazy all mixed together.
Yeah.
Hit stuff and hope it works, and mouth off and be sarcastic while you're doing it. He was a character I connected with. Donut's phenomenal character, which I love as well. I heard recently an interview with Matt Dinniman. He was talking about that apparently the original plan with Carl and Donut wasn't for them to be partners. Donut was actually going to wander off, and Carl was going to be on his own, and like she was going to come back and reappear later or something, maybe, if it went that way. And like how different the book would have been, because like that's the main staying power of the story, is the relationship with Carl and Donut, and these two sticking by each other in everything that they face. And like, it becomes such a great friendship that you follow, and I fell in love with the characters from the get-go.
Okay.
100%. Like, Carl and Donut were just such enjoyable characters because it was a sweet friendship, and they felt like real friends as well. The way that they riff on each other and they take the piss out each other and they laugh at each other, it feels like friends making fun of each other for stupid stuff. It feels like the jokes we make with each other about stupid stuff. It felt like a real friendship, because it also had those great tender moments as well where there was real connection. And it's like, they feel real. And then they also start to introduce characters through the first book, and then going forward, like, some of these characters reoccur and become more mainstay characters, and then as the books go, we meet more characters that become part of the main crew. And it's like, and they slowly introduce these characters, and they all start to feel, by the time you get to the end of book 8, you're like, I feel for all these people. And I'm like, when their lives are in danger and they're facing the dangers of the dungeon and there's risks of death, you actually start to become afraid that you're going to lose some of these characters that you really like. And he's done an amazing job of creating that connection. And when it came to reading the comic itself, the difference between me and you guys, like, you read it right after you read the book, Space Hog. You're reading it alongside the book, LJ. Like, I didn't start reading it, like, I was aware of the comic, but I hadn't read any of it until after I finished book 8. So for me, it was a step back, which that was a hell of a thing to do. was to see where the relationships, especially with Carol and Donna, because they're the only real main ones in the comic that are friends, but to see where they are now. In book 8, like, there's only going to be 10 books in the series, so the series is almost done.
Oh, wow.
So to see where it is, and to go back and see where it started, was a heck of a, like, step back to, like, to realize the journey that's been taken. And the visuals were phenomenal, and the book as well. Like, just to echo what you guys have said, the visuals and the artwork is just stunning. It's so good.
I mean, I kind of wish they would have made Donut look a little bit more like the brown cat she is. Like the
it's like the more tortoiseshell, because
she's like super pink right here, but like if you look at like the
she's like blonde, she's like white fur almost.
Right here, she's like a more brown, dark.
Yeah, she's meant to be more tortoiseshell color. Even Matt Damon said that the cat that she was based on was a tortoiseshell, so it was meant to be a tortoiseshell looking cat. But even then, like, they still got her personality. Like, they make her so expressive. They make her so like wide-eyed and excited. And
one thing that I love, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, on you go, man. On you go. I'm just rambling.
No. One thing that I do really like about this series as a whole, but let's once again talking specifically about this, is the pacing of the humor.
Yeah.
It's not just, they're not just hitting you with all, like, it's serious the whole time, or it's not just like Guardians of the Galaxy, everything's a joke. There you have moments where, okay, this is serious, we're heads in, and then there's like, they could be like heads in about something and like super focused, and they're like, okay, we got to do this, and this, and then Donut like pipes in, she's like, oh, look what I got a pussy clown, you know, and it's like, oh, that's freaking hilarious. Like, it's like in the midst of all of this, like you get like the humor is just it's honestly what kept me, like, what I really enjoyed reading the books. It's like, you know, Carl could be like frustrated about something or something serious could happen, and then Donut will just pipe in and say something completely off the wall.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Or some other character will say something.
That's why he has the catchphrase. Because the freaking kid. Yeah.
Like, one of the things is just like when, you know, like anytime Donut, it's a running bit throughout the whole series. And this is not spoiling too much. They do it a lot at the beginning too, is Donut will just randomly just pick something, or she'll just like choose something, or like she's like, oh, this is what I'm doing, and they're like, wait, no, that's the wrong thing. Oh, nope, we're locked in. This is what's happening.
My favorite
like,
thing,
come on, man.
She doesn't read the descriptions of the items and she just puts them on.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
that would be me. Honestly.
Yeah, like she just does, and that becomes a reoccurring thing. Like, she gets like there's spell scrolls that they find that she just adds to herself without reading what the spell is. Or like she has a thing, slight spoilers for it, but not really. Like, she has a thing where she can pick like subclasses going down floors, but she gets a choice between them, and she's like, they're always like, okay, we'll talk to Mordecai, ask him like about the classes, he knows about them and he can guide you. And half the time she either ignores him, and the other half of the time she just goes against what he says. It's like, I think you should pick this one because it's got the best buffs to it. Yes, but I don't like the hat that comes with it.
See,
I feel like what are you talking about? Put it on.
That feels like a very very cat thing to do, though.
It's like, amazing how cat-like she seems, even though she's like becoming more sentient and more kind of like human personality, like, obviously. With her having ate the pet biscuit to get the intelligence, it's like she's also still ridiculously cat.
Yes,
in everything she does.
And that's how I connect with the series too, is like me and my cat. I'm just like, you know, like that's, you know, like cat, like Carl's like, for better or worse, he's a freaking cat dad, and like that dynamic, like I just relate. That's the part of the book I really relate to.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's so well done. I that's something as well I want to mention that I love that they do with the comic, because the comic isn't just a beat for beat. I love like some of the images that are flashes into their past.
Yes, I wanted to mention that. Like, I'm glad you mentioned that.
In the apartment of like Donut sitting on his lap while they're playing video games, or like, why does Donut hate Cocker Spaniels so much? And it flashes to the Cocker Spaniel chasing her up the cat tree and stuff like that. It's like, you get to see flashes of their life that you don't get in the novel.
Yeah.
of like why things are a certain way. And one of them that I love because it helps solidify the relationship, and it'll solidify more in future books. I don't want to get into it because LJ's not gotten there as much, but the realization of like Donut is Carol's ex-girlfriend's cat.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing moment when Donut's talking to him when they're just walking down one of the hallways, and says that she can remember stuff from when she was
There's some
from when
stuff that
she's
gets
there.
real.
And Donut, we see it. I don't think it ever gets mentioned in the book, but it's in the comic, and it's a moment when Donut is sitting on Carol's shoulder as he's looking for a new apartment.
Yeah.
And he's specifically looking for a new apartment that has pets, that allows pets.
Yeah, well, because she
like,
does say that in the book, because in the book she's like, Carl, like basically she's like, Carl, I know you were gonna kidnap me, like.
Yeah, she does mention that a little bit.
Yeah,
but you get to see it of like that moment of
you get to see those moments visualized instead of
thinking
told.
about taking me and not giving me back to her. And I love it because it creates that. It isn't just like a random bonding. It's not just like, oh, I'm stuck with my ex-girlfriend's cat. It's like, no, he actually cared for Donut.
Yeah.
Even before. And that plays out a lot in the future books and some scenes that will come up. I won't go into details of, but it's like, it's great to see that visualized early on.
I like that in those visuals, how they showed Donut in between watching TV and going to the contests and be like hugging her, because it's like, oh, she didn't really like any of that. Like, is the vibe I get. It's like, no, she doesn't necessarily like. She wants to sit and watch TV. I mean, I guess she does like the contest. I mean, like, oh, I've won all these ribbons, but at the end of the day, like, that's not what she wants to do. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I found an example. Of the comedic effect here. This is when she gets the crown of the sepsis whore.
Yeah.
And he goes, that other item you see is quite valuable and powerful, but it's also very dangerous. Before you decide to put it on, you should take special note that it. And then she immediately
yes,
like,
yes,
not even listening. She's like, I love it because it's beautiful. Like, that's the comedy that you get in this. It's like that like quick, like
snappy, like just like it. Yeah.
And I love it because like he does an amazing job of that. It's like there's great comedy in that moment, great showing Donut's personality that's going to be a reoccurring thing, and then also great world building because it sets up the crown of the sepsis whore, which you forget about essentially in the first books, but it comes back later on, and they even talk about how it's going to come back later on and why it's an issue. But like you don't. But in the first few floors, you don't think about it because it's like, well, why would you? It's not an issue. There's so much other shit going on. Like, why would you think about it?
Going back to Donut, something that I really like, and I want to call it out because it is in this, is the fact that Donut loves televisions.
Yeah.
And she names the goblins. As she's going through, she names the goblins. And this is a recurring bit throughout the whole series is Donut loves TV. And so she's always saying, oh, when I watch this show or this show or this. So one of the goblins she names, she likes Gilmore Girls. And she names, there's Rory and Lorelei.
Yeah.
She names the
goblins.
Was it the two goblin, not shamankas, what is it? It's another word for the female shamanka. I can't remember what it is. It's a different word.
I can't remember it either.
But like the goblin head ones is like she names Lorelei and Rory. But she also like when she gets like the other goblins to take them to their like area, she also names like some of them after the A-team.
Yes, BA and stuff like that.
Murdoch, Face, and BA.
Yeah. It's like A-team is so random. Yeah.
I love it though because you get reference to that as well though because like she says to Carol, she makes a like you don't go all freaking Charles Bronson and Death Wish on me, and he's like, how the hell do you even know what that is? And she's like you and B both. She's like, you and B both leave the TV on when you go to work. She leaves it on like Gilmore Girls and reality shows and whatever, and it's like, can you leave it on that channel with the A-team and the Charles Bronson movies? And I'm like, so she just watches them all, which I love. Which can I say that's another great thing I love about it? And Donut's one of the main things that bring it forward. And it's something that like I worry is going to like ruin the book in decades to come because it's going to make it very much a thing of its time, but it is so rooted in pop culture.
Well, so and
Oh yeah.
I love the way they do that creatively. I don't think it's not really reflected in the comic necessarily, but in the book how it's the AI and the company trying to connect with the crawlers and the world that
Yeah.
they're taking over. I'm like,
It's
that's creative as hell. Like
It's so
that's
funny though because you see it in so many amazing ways, but you see it also like with
mm,
Donut like that watching daytime TV. So she's picked up all these references, and she makes
hmm
jokes and random references when she's talking later books as well, which the people have no
yeah.
idea what she's talking about, but obviously like she does and we do as the readers. But even
Except
just
for a
like some
few
of the
maybe, but yeah.
but even just some of the jokes
Yeah.
that come up later on, like Carol starts to make like sound traps that trigger and they play different songs.
Oh, I love this song.
And it's like so you find out like Donut loves like Oasis's like Wonderwall randomly
That's
because one of
funny.
them
Yeah.
goes off. One of the
Yeah.
songs goes off and it plays like Fergalicious and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
dude.
That's
I
amazing.
freaking lost it, which we'll talk about that in the breakdown about each of the books. But I freaking lost it. She's like, oh, "I love this song." So I imagine, I legit in the. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think it was book 3, and in that moment, I paused reading the book, put on Fergalicious, and then kept reading it while Fergalicious was playing. Just so I imagined if they did this in the TV show, that's what they would do. They'd play the song in the
uh,
background while all this
for
crap was happening.
for an amazing moment that happens, and I'm not going to spoil too much of it what happens, but again another reference, kind of like what you did there. They almost do it themselves later. In book 8, the most recent one, there's a moment where they have to sing karaoke, and
That's
Carol
funny.
and Donut have to sing a duet of karaoke. And Carol takes like a potion because they have to hit all the notes perfectly. So Mordecai helps him make a potion that's going to like help him like sing it perfectly. And they actually like in the audiobook they have the song playing and they've got like him kind of
That's
Jeff
fantastic.
almost like talk singing some of it as if he's Carl and Donut like doing side bits.
That's
And they have
amazing.
like the song playing underneath. I don't want to ruin the song because to
Yeah,
go in
yeah.
and realize what it is so funny and half the fun of it. But like they play into it so hard. Like they have so much fun with the pop culture stuff. And
One
it's
of the
like
things that one of the things before I forget, with Donut, because I know we're on the topic of Donut. I love the fact that she is the party leader. That her stats coming out of the gate, she is the highest stats. So they're like,
yeah.
"Yep, she's
Let
in
me
charge," and she's
let
like,
me yeah.
"What?"
Whether so, if you're a cat owner, you know your cat doesn't give a shit. She runs the house,
Yeah.
or the cat runs the house no matter what. So that's
Yeah,
I love the fact that even from the fact that she eats that pet biscuit,
yeah,
her intelligence dwarfs Carol's like drastically.
yeah.
That makes her the
yeah,
party leader, and then like other stats like her strength and stuff is so much higher than
yeah.
his.
Mhm.
It's absolutely so funny. I love it. It's such a great element. It's
Mhm.
Matt
And then
Dinniman.
she just names the party
Yeah, she
after
just got
herself,
access.
which is even
The Royal
Yeah,
Court of Princess Donut just names it. I love it.
yeah.
Matt Dinniman, especially when you're reading the first book and the first comic, there's an amazing feeling of like it's almost like Matt Dinniman is just throwing random shit down because it sounds funny sometimes and there's certain things are there. But when you actually stop and go through it, it's so amazing. Like the time
Yeah.
and thought that has been put into so much stuff.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I still stand by. I feel like in the series he rewrote stuff as he went because there's certain stuff that looks like it's getting set up, and sometimes stuff just gets kind of. We're going to rush that past because we're moving towards this instead. But for the most part, a lot of stuff is set up and set up well. In the first book and in the comic, it's like it's you don't get rushed into stuff either. You get stuff set up and put in place. Like I love the stuff that they meet coming in is like having read book 8, it's stuff that you're like, this wouldn't even be an issue now. But I love the setup of like, we're fighting goblins and their murder dozer that's trying to like run us over. And we meet the llama that spits fireballs and is like a meth dealer and stuff like that.
I love that
The
so
meth dealing
much.
llama.
That's part of that random humor. Is like what? You got a bag of meth? What?
You got a bag of it, which I love the fact of like later on, like in the comic, like it starts like a drug war between the goblins because like they basically use the bag of meth to get them to make a bike for them, and then like where'd you get it? We got it from a llama like a couple of like blocks over, and they're like, they lied to us that they has it, and it started like a whole freaking war for the territory, and like it's insane, and it's like.
I was reading that part at work.
Run out and like, okay, like all right.
I was reading that part at work in the original book, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting there laughing. I was like, I have to explain this to somebody and just how crazy this is.
The llama.
Yeah, the llamas are nuts, man. I love it. It's so stupid and insane. I absolutely love it.
One of my coworkers, she's a big book reader, and I've been trying to get her to finally start reading it because she knows about it. And I'm like, you just need to start it. Like,
it's like if people start it, like I will say this: if you start reading Dungeon Crawler, Carl, it'll get you. Like you'll get dragged in to caring about the characters. It does it.
You'll read it super fast if you're like me. Like
you'll
stay up till 1 a.m. finishing the books.
That's wild.
I did that the other night.
So there's two things I wanted to also kind of touch on with the story, because like the honest truth is with the comic, there's not a lot of story in the first volume because like it's only part of like the first novel, so there's not a whole host of story. So there's a few points I wanted to hit on. Even
where the novel ends is like kind of like okay, like it's like that's kind of an odd little spot,
it's just set up for what's to come. It's like, but if you know it's only part of the first book, you get it. But first of all, points I wanted to just kind of drift over were first the fight with the murder dozer. Carol obviously runs away from that at first to try and get away, and then it's like he can't get in the tutorial guild without killing the enemies.
Yeah.
So for a guy who's just walked into the dungeon, who is standing there in literally a jacket, his bare feet in heart boxer shorts, Carl is very much an everyman, or he's set up as an everyman, but even from that first fight, they show how capable he is.
Yeah.
He very single-handedly takes out a bunch of goblins. There's like 4 goblins on that murder dozer.
I'm trying to find the shot.
Like takes them out. I was going to say single-handedly, but more single-footedly, if you go by the AI's foot fetish.
Show me them.
So I'm trying to find the shot, but he does the classic anime like downward kick in one shot, and I'm just like, that is so freaking anime right there. Like I love it.
Yeah, he does like a downward stomp thing, which
it
just seems like a throwaway thing at first until you realise the foot fetish of the AI as the series goes on gets insane. But Carl is very much not just the everyman deep down. Like he can handle himself in an amazing way, and you start to see that more and more as it goes. Like he's the guy who his plans are usually batshit crazy, but they work. And there's no way in the world it would work for just anybody. Somehow he pulls off these ideas that you would never think of. But like even from the get-go, they show just how like crazy it is between like that murder dozer and then his blowing up the goblin boss. When they do that, like when they when all the goblins go off to fight the llamas in their war, like they don't go into the boss room, he sets up the bombs and rolls it in there.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to him, murdering a whole bunch of men, women, and children and pregnant people and
the comedic timing on that, I lost it. She was like, "Oh yes, you got him," and then.
The chapter cliffhangers.
It's like, blow up. There sure were a lot of children in there, Carol.
The chapter breaks are hilarious. I messaged y'all after I got done with that part. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so
I love it because they wheel it in there. They run behind a wall. He pulls the trigger out his inventory, and Donut's screaming at him, "Press it!" And he presses it, and she goes, "There sure were a lot of children in there." Just like, what?
See,
boom.
Can I just say, like, that type of stuff that they did too reminds me of like something I would try to do in like a video game, like because like it makes me think of like, like when you try to exploit or when you try to do something or kill a boss without getting hit.
Yeah.
Like it literally reminds me of the time where beat one of the main villains in Fallout New Vegas by sneaking into the casino and throwing a grenade and killing everybody and getting a mission complete message. Like
that's literally what they try to do with that goblin boss. That's literally what they try to do. They try to kill the head chief by rolling the bomb in the door and not entering the boss room so it can't lock behind them. And it works, to be fair, to their credit. It kills the boss along with a whole bunch of baby goblins. Which I love the fact he gets an achievement for that, and Donut just keeps dropping it in for a while.
Then the asshole achievements. I don't know if that was one of them, but I think it was. It was an asshole achievement.
The other thing I wanted to mention that's briefly touched on in the first comic, and it's one of those interesting things you don't think about in necessarily the first book, but it comes back in a big way, is when like Donut uses her charm. They first fight the goblins, and then Donut uses her charm on BA, Face, and Murdoch, the goblins that they meet, and takes them to go meet Lorelei and Rory, and the goblins. It gets them to start building a bike, but they start to then sit, while the bike's getting worked on, they sit and they talk with the goblins. And we get a really interesting perspective on the NPCs in the dungeon. Because the goblins talk about getting good enough at killing crawlers and killing enough of them that one day they won't wake up on that floor anymore. Because when the floor collapses, they say they go to sleep, and then they wake up next time the floor opens. And they're like, one day we're going to wake up and be on a lower floor. And one day we'll get to wake up on a low enough floor where we won't see the crawlers anymore. And it's like, even these NPCs have enough of an understanding of the dungeon at this point, which it becomes a thing later with NPCs and them understanding where they are and being broken out of the AI kind of mindset and understanding that they're NPCs.
Yeah, because there's a part where Mordecai is like, "Oh, you shouldn't have heard them say that," or something like that, and I'm just like, "Oh."
It's such a throwaway thing at the beginning, but to realize that all they really want is peace, and they're not necessarily doing this by choice. It's they have to do it, or they feel like they're forced to do it. And it's that writing of like the Crown of the Sepsis Horn and stuff like that we get.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff is set up off the bat that becomes a prominent thing later on.
Yeah, there's been dropping nuggets where I'm at in the book that I'm like, okay, this is about to get blown wide open. Like I'm sure it is.
Yeah, they start to really delve into that stuff, and it's such an amazing thing to see it played out. But to see that like dropped that early on and realize, there's NPCs talking like this, because you start to realize that people are from early on. You've learned about like Mordecai, who I want to talk about Mordecai as well, but you learn about Mordecai where it's like, oh, he was a former crawler.
Yeah.
And he took a deal and is now basically an indentured servant until his contract's done.
And tells Carl, no matter what, don't listen to them.
Yeah. And it's like, so you very quickly realize there's two types of people in the dungeon. There's NPCs who are dungeon born, stuck in there, and there's former crawlers who are now indentured servants in there. But you start to realize neither of them wants to be there on purpose. Neither of them wants to be in the dungeon and has chosen to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They're forced to be there. Which obviously is a massive theme for the whole series going forward, But it's really phenomenal to see it being the groundwork being laid this early on. So one thing I did want to talk about, as I mentioned, was talk about our favourite current rat boy, because he doesn't stay that way for long, and Mordecai.
Yeah.
It's like Master Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's so hard because in later books, because when I'm reading the books before I get the comic, I've got a picture in my head of characters, and sometimes it doesn't even matter what the description of the character is. I still have a picture in my head.
Same.
So it's like, just for certain stuff, a later character that comes up, Katia, is described in a certain way. I got a picture in my head right away for her, and it was so hard to not have that, to the point of I see fan art of her now, and I'm like, this doesn't match the Katia in my head. It's the same for Mordecai, and Mordecai, Mordecai right there. It's like, is known to be a changeling, a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Race, which is an interesting thing because when you start to go down the floors, every floor Mordecai changes shape into something different. And that becomes a reoccurring thing on the floors going down of like, what is Mordecai going to look like? It doesn't matter how many floors down we go. Part of me in my head still pictures the rat.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I was introduced to him. Part of me still goes to that, even if I know he looks different. Even though I know what his original race was when he starts talking about it being a Skyfoot and stuff, I'm like, I still see Master Splinter as my Mordecai. It's still in my head. I can't help it. But I just want to say this off the bat of, I freaking love Mordecai. He's an amazing character. He's so good. I absolutely adore him as a character. I adore his role. I adore the relationship that starts to get built even from the get-go with Carol and Donut. It's such a great connection. It's
from that first moment where she kicks over the ashes, I was like,
yeah,
yep,
the
this
ashes
is
of his
gonna
mom
be
and takes a shit in it, and his mom's ashes, and it's like, he's a phenomenal character. And he's the perfect game guide for them, the perfect ride-along for them to go to for instruction and for help. He becomes a lot more prominent as the books go forward as well, and as the floors change because his role slightly changes. Again, won't go into that, a bit of spoilers for how that happens. But is really, he's a phenomenal character. And even in the little that we see of him in the first graphic novel volume, because he's not in that much of it, he's not in the first volume for that often, but it's like, he's still like, I love his character. I've always loved his character.
And how knowledgeable he is. You know, he's very knowledgeable on what, even though, I mean, he is supposed to as a game guide, but as we mentioned, he is a former crawler. So he has the expertise of, I've been through the dungeon before. This is like, I know how it is. I know exactly how it is. Let me see what I can do to help you keep you alive. And I'm almost like to the point where, like, after kind of going through and like reading it and thinking about it, I'm like, Mordecai, I feel like went above and beyond just as the game guide. You know, just as his role. Once again, not spoiling something that happens in book 3 and going forward, but in the first, I'm just talking about even in the first book, even in that first where he starts like explaining stuff to him. He's very detailed. He's very like, I want to try to help you and keep you alive as much as I can, which is like awesome. You know,
even off the bat with Mordecai, it's like he's a lot more intelligent and knowledgeable than you would imagine. And as the books go on, that just becomes more and more apparent, where you start to think like, okay, even as a game guide and the access he has to stuff, even as a former crawler who made it to the 10th floor, I believe it is, Mordecai got out on. And they say, I think it's the 10th floor. It was like the 10th or 11th. It was something like that. But even with that, it makes you start to think that however many years he's been indentured to working as a game guide and working in the crawl, he's not been resting on his laurels. He has been learning and he has been gathering knowledge and he is becoming aware of stuff. Because later on, like every time they come to him and like, Mordecai, what's this spell? What's this class mean? What's this races stuff? What's this? But they come to him with so many questions, and he always, for the most part, until it gets to later on, always has an answer. Then obviously
I'll be completely honest. I would love to see, not just, I mean, and I'll say this because they're actually, you know, we kind of talked about, they are doing a crocodile based off another character within the book. I wouldn't mind if they did a series, because if he wants to like dive more into the world, if they did a dungeon crawler Mordecai, and we see like when he was
that would be sick.
I would love that.
I would love to see some of his crawl. You get little flashbacks and hints at stuff that's happened and a little bit of his story, but like not that much because it's not his story. So I would love to see that story play out more and to see where it goes. And
a few books, not necessarily like a whole like 10 books or whatever, but even if it's like 3 or 4 books, you know,
even like you said, like with Dungeon Crawler Carol Crocodile, looking back at Florin, another character that becomes prominent, I'm like, I'd love something like Dungeon Crawler Carol Mordecai. Just give me a graphic novel of like some of Mordecai's crawl.
I'll take one book. You know, like I mean,
Yeah.
they did that. They've done that with other like shows and TV shows. Like for
Yeah.
like The Walking Dead, they did like a whole like about the governor. You know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
done like different books where they've taken characters and they've done like a whole like. I would love to see Mordecai as. I think his
Small
character, because like
stuff.
I think sometimes when they try to do spin-offs of characters, you're kind of like, but I really miss the main, like I miss that main character. I have a connection to that main character. I feel like Mordecai is a strong enough lead to where he can carry a book by himself without Carl and Donut. Like
He could,
I feel that way.
and he's also a
Absolutely.
character where it's like, because usually they give the spin-off stuff to characters where you're like, how much could you really get? Like, okay, with
Right.
the Dungeon Crawler Carol Crocodile comic that's coming out, like, okay, it's the life of Florin before the crawl. We get a bit of him in the dungeon and what happens with him, but it's his life leading up to the crawl. But like that one comic's probably more than enough. But he's an interesting enough character where they're like, okay, that could be intriguing.
Yeah.
But like with Mordecai, I'm like, I'd love to read about his life before like the crawl happened for him, and his life and going through a few books, going through his time in the crawl, because like you know where you need to end it. You do a few books, 3 or 4 books, and you end the last book of Carl and Donut coming to his door and coming into his guild. You know what I mean?
He walks out to hear a like the last page of the final book. He walks out to hear a commotion and see.
He hears a commotion, opens the door, and a cat runs past him, and that's the end of the book. And you know exactly where it picks. You know what I mean? It's like you've got the ending point right there.
That would be sick. Yeah.
It's like you've got it right there, and I'm like, I would happily read the Mordecai story.
It would also be really cool to like they could do a book and they could show him like maybe like the first book they show him. Oh, another one I want to reference too is freaking the Hunger Games stuff. Like they have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah.
Well, they have the Battle of Songbirds and Snakes. They have
they did a whole prequel series on it. Yeah.
So they're doing prequels. So let's get a freaking prequel with Mordecai.
Yeah.
Why not? There's like what 20? This is the 25th crawl, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
So like we can visit some of these other, and we could even see Mordecai. Okay, maybe in one of the, maybe there's like a little flash forward after his story ends and he becomes the game guide, and maybe we see another group that he tried to mentor, kind of like Carl and Donut, but they died. And then we cut to another group that he's tried to do that and they die. So it kind of shows, he's trying, because you could clearly see that he cares enough. He doesn't really know Carl and Donut in this first thing, but he cares enough as a game guide where he's trying to keep them alive.
Yeah, it's like do what I'm saying, and this will keep you alive in the floors to come. It's like he's trying his best to lead them that way, even though it's like obviously he becomes friends with them, but like at this point it's like, I don't know you, I don't know who you are, but like I want you to make it. I want to do what I can to make you survive. Like right off the bat, he's a phenomenal character. I would happily read a prequel of him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As we're kind of getting on a little bit in the podcast, I do want to jump on something to talk exclusively for the comic, and that is to talk about the artwork, because obviously the story is lifted right out of the first novel. The dialogue, the direction it goes is all taken from that first Dungeon Crawler Carol book, but in the comic, obviously we for the first time get artwork added to the story, and you see bits of artwork on like that were done for characters on the audiobooks on Audible. They have their own covers that have got pictures of Carl and Donut and some of the stuff that's going on. But this is the first time we really get images that are assigned to stuff that's going on in the crawl. And like you said as well, Space Hawk is very much got a kind of manga sort of Japanese feel to it. There are obviously definite Western comic components to it, but it's definitely very manga inspired. Even the front cover of Carl and Donut, like he looks like a manga like superhero like pose and stuff.
The teeth and like the eyes.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Even like the style, the shape of the face, the short spiky hair. I'm like, how many anime protagonists have you seen that look just like that? It's got that very much feel to it. What were your thoughts on the artwork, guys? For the first volume,
I like I said, to me it was my first taste of like the visual of the the book in the thing that I literally just read. It was like, okay, so this is what it looks like. Now, I will say I did have a couple like now I know Carl gets bigger as we go, like jacked, but they don't really make him look that like look at him right there. He's big. He's a big guy, but he does not look like Alan Richardson, which people are fan casting like
Yeah.
Alan Richardson Jack. He does not look like that at all. And then once again, Donut is not the color that I would hope she is, but I do really like the art. And I think one of my favorite components is anything that has to do with like the AI, anything that's like for instance, a good visual, the health bar. You get to see the health bar that pops up, you know, and
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, sweet. Like I love it. I love the that we're getting to see what their oh, I had it pulled up earlier. When they get their loot boxes,
Yeah.
the different loot boxes and stuff, and then like new achievement, you know, and they have all the like achievements listed, the like the pop-ups and stuff like that. Like I love that visual that like in the book you're reading it and in the audio book you're listening to it, but you don't like I want to say for me at least, it was hard to perceive how that happened.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
is it like how are they doing this? Like what's the function? And
Yeah.
so in the book
You're thinking of the
in the graphic
logistics
novel,
behind it, yeah.
yeah, I want to know like how does their the view pop up? How's the map pop up? Like
Yeah.
how like are they just seeing it like in their eyes or is it like
Hmm.
a you know like how does that work? And so
Yeah.
this kind of gives you a little bit of taste on how that actually works and how when they open their boxes they just pop up and you get to see that and
Hmm.
so I really love that part about it. Um
Hmm.
so to me, you know that was something that I really took out of it, and I really like about this, and I can't wait to see the you know the second part of this as
Hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, so for me, as we're talking too, I'm thinking about like, you know, there are definitely the differences, like you know, like Space Hawk was saying. What I've learned, especially like about art in the last couple of years, and as I've kind of developed my own style, and I talk about how you stand out versus just copying something or just like doing fan art of something. Like this feels like the more we talk about it, this feels very much. I mean, it always was a fan project, but I kind of like you stand out as an artist when you kind of take your own interpretation of things. Like I'm still learning that myself as an artist. So like yeah, it is interesting that, you know, Carl definitely does look like an early 20 something year old. You know, and he doesn't have this visual that we are given. But I also think that has something to do with like the anime. Most of those characters in anime are in high school, but they're like freaking adults already. Like, or they look like
Yeah.
they're adults or something. Like, even though they are in high school. So there's definitely like it was definitely feels like it was a stylistic choice. A lot of the decisions and things they did. Versus the visualization of things. Like, I already had that solo leveling visual style in my head too. Even though I think in the book they describe it a little bit as like it just kind of pops up like in his vision, like the HUD and stuff like that, especially. I don't know if they necessarily say that's how the windows work. But like how he talks about seeing like the health bar in the corner of his vision or like that. Um,
Yeah,
but like it's interesting too, like seeing certain things take a back seat. Like you don't necessarily get to read all those achievement windows very like you do in the book either. Like so it's
that's an example
interesting.
right there.
Yeah.
Like the map
Yes.
pops up and we see all the white dots in the hallway and like
Yes.
the layout of the dungeon in his map
Yep.
right here.
Yeah. And like in solo leveling, like it pops up in front of his face, and he basically in that show, that manga, he basically just gets to be like okay, or like close it out, and it pops up as like a window, like they do in this book. So like having that visualization, I guess. So I've been. It's one of those things where, especially like in the last couple of years, I feel like I've been watching a ton of anime. The reason why I'm not watching a bunch of these really good shows that are out right now is because I'm watching Jujutsu like nonstop. Like so I've been getting like, and then Demon Slayer a few months ago. So it's just like, it's cool to see that perspective from people that don't necessarily watch a lot of anime or anything, or read manga like that, because this is also counterproductive to what a manga is. Because if they really wanted to go hard, they could have made us read it in reverse like a manga too if they want. But they don't do that. Which I think this is a good crossover as a medium, like I said before, of like you get this visual style that I know people will love, that maybe people who don't necessarily read books will love. You get a story of people that read books, and that may not necessarily read a comic or watch an anime. Like, this is a good gateway in a lot of ways from multiple perspectives. And for Dungeon Crawler Carl to be the franchise or the series that does that with a book like this, I think is really cool. Because like I still don't picture this as Carl. Like I just this is Carl, but like I just don't like.
Yeah, it's not how I picture
like,
in my head either. Yeah.
But I think it's cool that they took a shot and they did their own thing stylistically. So, and I think that's how it stands out from just being a recreation of something that's already been done.
No, absolutely. It's
I
definitely enjoy the art style of it. Yeah, like I said, I'm not big on like the manga art style. Like I'm not a big manga reader or anything like that. I've gotten into watching more anime as of lately, as I've been trying to branch out into some of those stories and stuff. But like in terms of actually reading, I'm not a big fan of it. I sort of got frustrated with the art style a bit, as like looking for artists for like our own project, for the Chronicles of Andrasia project and stuff. So many people like looking for artists are doing like that art style, and it's like which for a while, I'll be honest, got frustrating for me, because like not going for that style in the slightest for our comic. So it was very much a case of like I'm seeing it everywhere. But it kind of works in this. One of the things I think helps it to work for this, though, is it doesn't fully feel manga, because the honest truth is the only thing that makes it feel very manga in the art style is Carl's design.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, apart from him and B, there isn't really humans that you see. Everyone else is like Donut's a cat, Mordecai.
Some of the goblin designs too. But other than that,
some of the goblin designs are a bit, but it's like there's not really that human feel to it, so like it doesn't have that hardcore style. The other part of it, I think, is the coloring. Maybe even more so than the art itself. I want to find out who did the coloring in this book, because the coloring is sharp. It is this type of coloring that I
anime.
like. It is
very, very good.
It is very beautiful, very bright, very draws you into it. I'm like, the artwork is so well done. Like,
somebody named Ludwig did the colors.
Like it's absolutely phenomenally done. I adore the art style in this. I think the artwork's beautifully done. I think the coloring definitely elevates it to a whole other level and makes it. It's that level of coloring that I love in my art. Like how it feels like it makes everything pop and makes you feel
a level
more
I want to get to for sure.
Invested in it and more embedded in the comic. You know, it's like it definitely helped with that. I absolutely loved the comic. I loved seeing it changed into another medium that I love.
Yeah.
I was curious how they were going to do a lot of the stuff in this as well, because so much of the book, the books are basically all from Carl's perspective. They're all narrated by Carl. To the point that even Matt Dinniman himself said it's like the stories are almost from like an unreliable narrator perspective, because everything's from Carl. So you're taking everything from his sort of input on everything. And to remove that is a very risky thing to do for the story, even putting it into a comic, because like that's the main glue of like what the books are. And you take out that narration, that internal monologue, that stuff that he's saying by putting it into a comic form. But I feel like the team that was behind it have done a really good job. They've gone into it with a great idea. They've gone into it with a great layout for it. Losing that internal monologue, they've definitely amplified they've amplified the story with the visuals that they've added to it. And you can tell, like, you know, not to go John Hammond here, you know, we spared no expense. Like, they've clearly, like, they got a talented team to put this together.
Yes.
Kind of like you said,
Absolutely.
LJ. Like this was definitely not meaning it in a negative way. This was definitely a fan project. This was made with love of people who adore the series and wanted to do something amazing with it. And it's phenomenal to see that it got the amazing payoff that it did by actually getting to be a printed work that had Matt Dinniman's backing of all freaking things. Yeah, I. Not to sound like.
Can I go ahead and just say?
Yeah.
I can go ahead and say how much Matt Dinniman loves this series. Like I've seen him lately in like review, like him and Jeff Hayes were like talking or whatever and answering questions, and like this dude like I've seen not a lot of authors, but like some authors that like write books and they're like, okay, yeah, that's a book I wrote. You know, like this is a series I wrote, whatever. I also have like 10 other series that I write, whatever. This dude like loves freaking this book, and he loves the community around. He like from what I've seen, he loves like talking to people about it, and like
kind of like
he loves it. He's passionate about it. Like
kind of like what you're saying there is like that. You see some authors that are kind of like they don't want to be known for that one thing. They're like, I'm a writer. I do all these different things. I put all these books out. I mean, they just got another book out.
Or like the Witcher. Or like the Witcher author who absolutely detests the idea of the video games being a thing because they're such a departure from his work. Like it's funny. Like it's like, okay, bro, like weird flex, but okay.
Like, but that's the thing. It's like him being such a like those like authors that want to be known for so many other things. Like it makes me think of those actors that don't want to be typecast. They're like, oh, I don't want to be remembered like famous for that one role. And then it's like a thing of like, then you get other actors who completely throw themselves into that role and love the community, love the fans, love everything about it. I think of somebody like the Doctor Who actors that play the Doctor, for example, where it's like even like years and years after they play it, they don't mind getting asked questions about Doctor Who. They don't mind playing the role and talking about it, and they're still fans of it. You know, I always remember stories of the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, who would get into character, and when kids would come up to him and stuff like that, and just completely invested themselves in the role, knowing that it's okay, because like when I get to the end of my career, thank God they remember me for something.
Or like Sean Bean still like dying and everything because like that's what he does.
It's like it makes me think like that. Matt Dinniman's one of those sort of authors, and I'm like, well, when I get to the end of my life, it's like, it doesn't matter how much else I write. I hope people love all the stuff that I put out there. But if I'm remembered for Dungeon Crawler Carol, what a freaking amazing thing to be remembered.
He's just owning what he does. Yeah,
it's like you know, you see those actors that still go to conventions today and talk to their fans. Like, you know, it's like I'm a huge Firefly fan, and getting to meet the Firefly cast who are all still invested in that world, to the point of that they finally, like 20 years later, are bringing it back and stuff like that, and they're like, they completely embrace this world, and it feels like Matt Dinniman is doing that with Dungeon Crawler Carl. Like he's fully aware of how popular it is and how much fans love it, and he's immersing himself in that fan base and is just accepting of it. And I'm like, I love that, because it allows us to just geek out and be completely fans and obsess over this stuff. And you know, especially now, like, you know, book 8 just came out, there's only a couple of books left, and okay, there'll be the TV show and stuff coming out, but it's like, once, you know, right now, once book 10 comes out, that's it.
Yeah.
Unless we do get the spin-offs, or unless the show goes on for years, it's like, that's it, you know?
So I got a question. Just using this book, we're not allowed to talk about any of the other books. We'll do that during the when we do those Patreons. But I want you to fan cast this. What is your fan cast? Because everybody always wants to talk fan cast for the show. So I will give mine.
Okay.
For my Carl, who I would love to see, is Peter Claffey. I think that's his last name. The dude from Night in the Seven Kingdoms, as Sir Duncan. He would be. That is my Carl. That dude would be Carl. But if I have to do, okay, this is like hear me out. Okay, this is a big hear me out, and people are gonna be like, that's stupid because I don't like this actor, Jared Leto. No, I'm just joking. No.
Booting you off this call right now.
Glenn,
I
and
was
let me
gonna
tell you
say,
why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why Glenn Powell, because people crap on Glenn Powell as an actor, but let me tell you something. Have you ever seen the new Running Man movie?
I have not actually. I want to see it, but I've not had a
He
chance to
is
see it yet.
phenomenal in Running Man, dude. And like I could totally see Glenn Powell as Carl. Like I could see it. I'm like that is like
yeah.
the visualize like he's a bigger dude, like he's taller or whatever. I'm like this dude could be Carl. But obviously Peter Claffey is like that is number one for me. That would be my. And then you can't not have Jeff Hayes be like Donut.
Yeah, I
But
don't
I
think there's
honestly
another
don't
donut.
really. I I don't I don't know who, but we were talking about System AI as Seth MacFarlane. I cannot get that out of my head now. So Seth MacFarlane is the
Yeah,
System AI, and then Mordecai Alan Tudyk,
Alan
100%.
Tudyk. Yeah,
Yeah,
great casting.
I like that. That is who I would fan cast. LJ, who do you got? Let's.
Okay,
Who do you
so
think?
I have a twist. So since this is very anime influenced, that's what has me. So we're going off of just this, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're only the characters in this.
Oh, okay,
So.
okay, okay. I got it. I see what you mean. So I actually have, and I actually have a spin on this. So I'm thinking like, I mean, actors and voice actors in general. So I do think if this comic was to be an actual anime adaptation, I feel like, and he plays Superman in My Adventures with Superman, but you get Jack Quaid to do Carl. For the
Yeah,
voice, because
Okay.
he's a great Clark and Superman in My Adventures with Superman. And then for some reason I had it in my head, maybe because like Persona and the idea of dungeon crawling, but Princess Donut, I had her in my head as the Persona 5 has the character of Morgana, who's a cat, and then she also voices Galacta in Marvel Rivals. For some reason, I had that in my head, like even when I was reading the book as
I
Donut
can
before
maybe
I
see
heard the
that
audiobook.
actually. I can maybe see that. It's like going off of the
I
Galactic
can
voice. It's got
just,
that kind of tone to it. So yeah, I could see that
but
actually.
just that energetic style that voice actress does. Cassandra Lee Morris is her name. But that's so if they were to do like an anime series or animated series, Jack Quaid would be dope because he's done voice work and he's also doing voice work in God of War Laufey as well.
Yeah,
As the Cube. So him and Cassandra Lee Morris I think would be great.
who would be
As
your
far as the lead.
Mordecai and System AI?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'd have
That's
to
how I
think
felt
on
about Donut.
Mordecai.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's probably somebody in the voice acting world. Okay. It would be for the bit. I know I get tired of hearing him and everything, but Troy Baker as the system AI would be fun. He does more video games.
I was going to say Troy Baker, like he's got that sort of voiceover, like
or Matt Mercer.
Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer would
Matt
also
Mercer.
be
Matt Mercer would be a fun
fantastic.
one. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
Mordecai, I feel like there's somebody I don't have in my head at the moment. I will probably get back to y'all on that one, but I know there's
Mordecai too.
Yeah.
But no, Matt Mercer would be just because those two guys are in like so much stuff. So like I'm thinking like just and then like and like I feel like that kind of lends to what y'all were saying about like Seth MacFarlane too. Like he does so many voices and not just like Family Guy and Ted and everything. But that dude's when you hear that dude's voice, like you know it's him. You know, kind of a thing. So
yeah.
That's I guess that was my thought on the fan casting thing.
Cross.
So my fan casting, I think, kind of to shine what you said, Spacehawk. I think definitely Jeff Hayes as Donut. If we're talking live action series, Jeff Hayes as Donut. Like I can't hear another Donut in my head. Like the way he plays it, it's so well done, and I think it'd be a nice nod just to have him involved as something.
It would be cool.
Oh yeah. That's like a lead role.
Yeah, I think that would be
that's like
a great.
That's like them getting
Colleen
O'Shaughnessy Sonic the movies because they for Tails because it's like how nobody could see anybody else as Tails. Like you know, like
it's that exact thing for like Donut. As I don't think anyone else could do it justice the way he does. Don't get me wrong. There's some great actresses that have been put forward for it, but I'm like, That's donut in my head now. I mean,
Yeah.
Are
you
you
know what I
saying
mean?
Chris Pratt wouldn't be a good donut? Is that what you're?
We're not Marioing and Garfielding this. We're not.
No, Chris
He's
Pratt would be
already
the
played a CGI cat. We don't need him to play another one.
make him the system AI and piss everybody off.
Oh wow,
even
that
more.
would piss everyone off as well.
It pisses me off just thinking about it.
System AI. I don't know who I would voice because, like, I put forward originally, like, they're probably going to get Seth MacFarlane to do it because he's involved with it.
The odds are extremely likely for that.
I can't see it going another way, and I'm kind of okay with that because he's a good voice actor enough to play a crazy batshit AI. So I'm like, I couldn't think who else would do that unless you want to dive into the voice acting world, and then probably like you guys said, I don't know enough voice actors out there. My mind's going to go to the Critical Role cast as voice actors. I'm going to like get one of them in to do it, like Matt Mercer or someday. But I think Seth MacFarlane's going to do a great job. I think he's going to play it well.
You know what? Speaking of the Critical Role cast, sorry to interrupt you. But
yeah,
I honestly, if they couldn't get Jeff Hayes to do Donut, I don't think I wouldn't hate Ashley Johnson as Donut.
Ashley Johnson could be an interesting Donut.
I'm not hating it. I'm just saying I'm not hating it.
I feel like Ashley would have the tone and inflection of the donut we're used to. I feel like if you're kind of talking the more pompous kind of feel to it, not pompous, but you know what I mean, that kind of regal feel to her.
Yeah.
Possibly Laura Bailey.
Both of them could bring in energy to it.
She's done that a few sort of roles. I could see her hitting that kind of regalness to it. Mordecai's Alan Tudyk. I have been saying this for forever. There is no other person that is that role. I have been shouting that from the rooftops for forever. Alan Tudyk is every version of Mordecai. There is no one that could do it more justice than him. I will fight people on this. He is the perfect person for that. If they do not cast him, it's a travesty. Alan Tudyk is the only person to be Mordecai.
That's a good pick.
That's it. That's the only choice for that. I am not listening to other input on it. You are wrong. That's
a great pick.
Now the big one is Carl.
Yeah.
I have seen a few fan casts that I kind of like and names that have sprung to my own head. Depending on what age we're casting Carl and what they can play, my first instinct, but this is based on probably more later books as well, is, you mentioned it earlier, Space Hog, is Alan Ritchson from Reacher.
Yeah.
Big, buff. I can see him doing the boxer shorts, the Carl's gauntlet that he ends up getting, and the cape flowing off him. Like he has the build of the war hero sort of character that Carl ends up becoming. If you're talking based on the first book, I don't know if it fits. And also as well, I don't know if he's just that slight bit too old for the Carl that we're looking at. Because I feel like Carl's an older guy, but not too old, I would say. Like, I always feel like Carl's more early to mid-30s. Just slightly younger than us. They seem to play him in that sort of way in the books, I feel. But he would be my first choice. If they could get him, I'd be super happy. Other fan casts I've seen that I kind of like were, you mentioned it for the voice cast, and actually, LJ, I saw someone talking about Jack Quaid as a live action. And I'm like...
Okay, I mean, I feel like that's more this version, though.
Someone also mentioned... I'm on Reddit because I had to look it up. Somebody said for Carl, somebody on Reddit, I can agree or disagree with these. They say Carl Jensen Ackles.
Nah.
I've heard that one.
I like Jensen Ackles. I don't think he's right for it at this point. I honestly kind of like the same with Alan Richardson. I think Jensen Ackles is a bit too old for it now. Same way like I used to fan cast him as Jason Todd for forever because he did a great role in the Under the Red Hood animated movie.
Yes,
he'd have been a great Jason Todd, but unfortunately, I feel like the ship sailed on that one. Jensen Ackles, I think, is more just people are popular. Another one that another one that I had that I saw someone mention I was interested about was, I can never say his name, Dacre Montgomery, Billy from Stranger Things, or Jason in the Power Rangers movie
Okay.
reboot.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
I saw that and I'm like, that's an interesting choice. Actually, I'd like to see if he had the chops to pull that off. I'm like, I don't know if he would.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see if somebody would be willing to do that type of like transformation, as like start off as a, you know, more slimmer, less muscular Carl. Because like the way I picture Carl is like, he even talks about it. He's like, well, he's like, I think I'm more of a built guy. He's like, I weigh this much. I only go to the gym a couple times a week. Like, so
Yeah, he's not
I
like
think it would be cool.
Giant
Yeah,
dude.
he's not like
He's a
skinny
normal,
or
average, healthy dude that goes to the
Yeah.
gym. You know.
Yeah, so like I think it would be cool to get somebody that was willing to do that, I guess, physical transformation as the series goes.
All right, and here's my last one that I'm going to put forward for Carl, possibly. Like, and this one was just off the top of my head. One of the first names that I kind of thought of. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. This is definitely my out of left field one compared to some of the other choices I've seen. I've not seen anyone fan cast him, and it's just off my head. Is Austin Butler?
Okay.
I gotta look up.
I kind of, you know what's crazy is they are both him and Glenn Powell are all over the place and stuff.
Yeah,
right
the
now.
two of them are all over. It was you saying Glenn Powell that put it in my head, which I'm like, I could kind of see it working. I
kind of like both of them to a degree. Like,
I feel like Butler's done some interesting acting stuff where I'm like, he kind of like throws himself into different roles. I'm like, I feel like he could throw himself into the role of Carl and kind of get into it. He's a good built guy, but he's not too overbuilt, where I'm like, I could see him being the normal starting point Carl. And then he could easily like train, work out, and get himself into a bigger physically fit for that. I'm like, as a possibility. But like, I'll be honest, like when I'm trying to think of the perfect Carl, I don't have the perfect one in mind. It's like there's so many options. I'm like, that could be an interesting choice, but there's no one like who's Donut? Jeff Hayes. Who's Mordecai? Alan Tudyk. It's like the choices are just there in my head for a Carl. Like, this is the perfect Carl. I'm like, I don't really got anyone. I'm like,
If they could not get Alan Tudyk for Mordecai, if they like just couldn't get him scheduling, whatever, somebody mentioned Andy Serkis, and I'm like, I don't freaking hate it. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
I like that.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
It'd be an interesting one. Although I'll be honest, like he's went down in my books after the whole freaking, what was it, the Animal Farm animated movie that just came out.
I didn't know nothing about that.
That wasn't very good, from what I heard.
It wasn't even just not very good. It was abysmal.
It misses the whole point.
It misses the whole point of what Animal Farm's about, and it's like it was like a passion project from him. And I'm like, Andy, maybe you just need a break. If this is what we're coming up with now, you just need a break from everything.
Yep.
Somebody also said Felicia Day for Donut.
Yeah, I could see that. She's big enough in geek culture that would get a good pop as well for her as Donut.
Yeah.
Okay, I am an absolute fanboy for him, but if he was younger, it was back like 20 years ago, probably. My probably top casting for Carl that I would die in the hill for would probably be Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
I think he's
he would be a good older
for Carl. He'd be able to do a bit more of the aggressive along with the comedy stuff to it. If he put on a little bit of muscle mass, he would have been like where he was 20 years ago in like Firefly, maybe, sort Firefly, of era. He could bulk up a little bit. He's got the kind of short hair already,
See, that's like young Brendan Fraser. Like a really young Brendan Fraser. That look, that like, got like the cheeks and like the hair, and so like that's kind of and that's why I mentioned Glenn Powell, because Glenn Powell has that, like, I don't know, he has that face that I'm like, I could see him doing that.
Yeah, he's got like, that shape for it. And I'm like, I think that's it. I think I'm intrigued to see who they cast as it, because like I don't have a definitive that's my Carl in my head. Like, to the point of like if they don't cast him, I'm going to get pissed. It's not going to be like a Doctor Doom moment for me when it's like, right now it's like I've got, these people would be great for it, and we're just going to cast somebody that should not be playing the role, and I will stand on that hill. I don't care if Doomsday is coming out.
They're going to cast somebody completely. It's going to be like stupid. That's like
I
off
also-
the wall.
Yeah.
Like some moron.
I also wouldn't be against
Like-
someone who's a bit more of an unknown actor playing Carl as well. Someone who's a bit
Yeah,
getting a
because
chance
it
to
is
break out.
it is going to be for TV. So I don't think like some of those bigger names that I think people want or that we want. I don't think they'll.
Well,
The
that's why
odds
I
of them being
mentioned-
attached.
That's why I mentioned Peter Claffey. I've actually, if you look him up, like he's not a super well-known actor, like from Knights in the Seven Kingdom.
Yeah, like I didn't
Let me just
recognize
pull
the
it
name
up.
when you said it. It wasn't
He's
until
a-
you said what he was in. I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
But-
yeah.
Yeah, I knew exactly who you were talking about. Yeah, once he said what he was in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
like
Yeah.
he's a tall dude. Like that I meant. Look at that.
yeah.
He's like an
Yeah.
every
Oh, yeah.
every guy.
Yeah,
Every
that's
man.
actually,
that could be Carl.
That's actually a really good. That image right there is like, that actually could be spot on a Carl. Like right there, that
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
might be a really good choice.
Just like a regular dude. Like he's like not a fancy looking,
Mhm.
fancy
Yeah,
looking
that
guy.
could that actually is like
Regular
a
dude.
really could be Carl. I'm
And
like,
Yeah.
he's super tall too. He's like 6'2" or no 6'7".
I can't
Wow.
believe you just did that. Well, you're banned from the future in
My
the comic book
kids-
club episodes.
My kid said he's 6'5" actually. But like
Thank
my kids
God.
say it all the time. It's so
Far.
annoying.
Oh yeah, my kids say it all the time as well. It's like it's
I'm just like, oh my gosh.
yeah. I'm definitely an old man. I don't get it. I'm like, but yeah, I think that's a good point for us to wrap up with Indie Comic Book Club tonight. So final verdict on the comic, I think, is we all thoroughly enjoyed it. Guys, would we recommend
Can't wait
checking
till the
out Dungeon Crawler Carl Volume 1? Would we recommend checking it out?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think we should honestly, when Volume 2 drops,
Yeah.
we should hit up Volume 2.
I think we should hit a Volume 2 for it, and I think also when we get the chance, we should definitely look at doing Dungeon Crawler Carl Crocodile when it drops as well. And
Cool.
definitely I'm up for it. And then also as well, as we said, make sure to go and check out our Patreon. If you're on Twitch, I'm putting the link in the chat right now. If you are watching this on YouTube, it will be linked down below, where you can check out any videos that we have early access to before they drop on YouTube, and also exclusive content, including those reviews of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, where myself and Spacehawk will be doing a bit more of a deep dive into those and getting into the nitty gritty of the story, and that obviously we can't cover today because we didn't even get through the full first book with this first volume of the comic.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. But thank you so much everyone for joining us today. This has been an absolute blast to do this for you all. Hope you all have an absolutely amazing week. Remember, come and hang out with us tomorrow here on Twitch if you're watching us live with us now. And we will be back with our D&D campaign, Aurora's Edge, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So make sure to come and hang out with us. But as for us tonight, that is it all. You all take care, and it's a good week to be a geek. Take care, and we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Peace.